Imagine that you are a refugee from a war-torn country trying to migrate across Europe with what you can carry in your backpack. What would be the most important possession to bring with you? Many of you have one with you right now, and although your water bottle and the California roll you brought for lunch would help, I'm not referring to these necessities. The answer for many immigrants is a smartphone. Today, we'll take a look at how smartphones are central to the success of immigrants' journeys. Many members of this class have their own stories of how their families came to the United States, and most of you are very familiar with a multitude of apps on your own smartphones. So, let's take a look at these two ideas and see why smartphones are so useful for immigrants. I have always been interested in my own family story of immigration through Europe and on to North America, and have been fascinated while researching the 21st century version of this narrative. We'll get that narrative going by first taking a look at the widespread use of smartphones by immigrants, next considering how smartphones are vital to immigrants' journeys, and finally, seeing how smartphones are especially essential in dangerous situations. So, let's begin by observing that smartphones are extensively used during immigration. Smartphones are one of the most important possessions for many college students, and our class surveys indicated that many of you spend hours each day on yours. Smartphones are even more vital for immigrants. Hannah Kislowska, staff reporter for Courts, indicated on September 14, 2015, that more than 1 billion people around the world rely on smartphones and their ubiquitous messaging and social media apps, but none more so than the hundreds of people who are fleeing war, hunger, and famine in the Middle East and Africa. In an October 9, 2015 MTV News article, Melita Sunjic, a United Nations Relief and Works Agency senior public information officer, stated that at refugee camps, immigrants not only ask where to eat and sleep, but also where they can get Wi-Fi, and is it possible to help them charge their phones? For example, a music teacher named Osama Al-Jassim, who migrated from Syria to Belgrade, Serbia, told the New York Times on August 25, 2015, that every time I go to a new country, I buy a SIM card, activate the internet, and download the map to locate myself. Mr. Al-Jassim acknowledges that I get stressed out when the battery even starts to get low. The need for internet access can spur creative solutions. When refugees experience connectivity problems after crossing the border into Croatia, Louise DeWatts, a digital news associate for ABC News, described a unique fix on September 22, 2015. Otvarina Marisa, Project Open Network, a tech startup, sent volunteers carrying backpacks with mobile Wi-Fi devices, creating human hotspots. Now that you have seen that many immigrants rely on smartphones, let's take a look at how and why these smartphones are so helpful. Imagine that you have just arrived in a country for the first time and you need to cross it on your journey. You don't speak the language, could be alone, have no local currency, and don't know where you can stay or how to travel safely. What apps on your phone might you use? Don't say order a pizza, because the closest Domino's is over 100 miles away and they won't deliver. What new apps would you download before you left? Your phone could be your lifeline. Communicating with family members is one important use of smartphones. In Time magazine, October 19, 2015, news photographer Patrick Whitty tells the story of Rami Shahad, who uses his phone to contact his wife and family back in Damascus. Rami explains that if it were 5 years ago, they'd maybe be thinking, what's happening to me? And I'd be wondering what's happening to them. But now, thank God for this technology. Immigrants who have become separated from their family members can use the Red Cross website Trace the Face. People looking for missing migrants in Europe to post their own picture or search for pictures of loved ones that have been posted. Another helpful app is a foreign currency conversion calculator. Picture yourself newly arrived in Macedonia with $1,000, your life savings. If a trader offers you 30,000 dinars for these dollars, the right decision could determine whether you can afford to make it through Macedonia and onto your ultimate destination. That sounds like a lot of dinars. Should you make this deal? The answer is no. If you accepted 30,000 dinars for your $1,000, you would get only about half of what your money is worth. No immigrant could finance travel for long at this rate. Fortunately, as Rob Price, a technology reporter, writes in Business Insider, September 9th, 2015, foreign currency conversion calculators are a popular choice, helping people to avoid getting ripped off as they cross borders and currency areas. After obtaining the right currency, another question is where to eat and stay. Immigrants share this information with one another online. For instance, on September 15th, 2015, CNN reported the experience of Keenan Albini and 6 friends who relied on Facebook pages of other immigrants. These pages included advice on which tents to purchase and directions to a reasonably priced Athens hotel. They relied on social media sites for everything we need, according to Keenan. Nonprofit organization sites also can be accessed. The International Rescue Committee's website, Refugee Info, can be accessed to find information about lodging, services, and food in a number of different European cities. In Wired, December 5th, 2015, Ray Rodriguez, the organization's technology coordinator, states that we're trying to reach as many people in as many spots as possible to make sure it's not outdated information. My team then goes in to map those services and validate it across peer groups in each city. The next morning, it may be time to move on toward the ultimate destination, and again, your smartphone plays a useful role. Investigative journalist Matthew Brunwasser wrote in the New York Times, August 25th, 2015, that immigrants share photos and videos of their journeys taken on their smartphones, with Facebook groups such as How to Immigrate to Europe, which has over 39,000 members. In The Telegraph, September 20th, 2015, reporters Josie Ensor and Magdi Saman describe a 120,000-member Facebook group, Karajat al-Mushatin, Travelers Platform, as an eBay or one-stop shop for migrants from Africa to the Middle East. On this site, members provide maps with the best routes and good stopping points on the way. When one route is closed off, this is noted and new options are suggested. We have seen how immigrants use smartphones to take care of daily needs. Next, let's look at uses of these phones in riskier situations. One problem is coping with traffickers. In his Business Insider article, Rob Price noted that thanks to apps such as Google Maps, refugees are able to make their own way like never before without having to rely on the high prices and often horrendous conditions offered by people traffickers. In the previous cited New York Times article, Muhammad Haj Ali of the Adventist Development and Relief Agency concurs that traffickers are losing business because people are going it alone, thanks to Facebook. Smartphones also provide vital information for immigrants who decide to rely on traffickers for all or part of their journey. Many members of our class have relied on reviews on sites such as Uber and Yelp to make decisions as consumers. And according to social media manager Alessandra Ram in Wired, December 5th, 2015, social media allows migrants to review trafficking services and to compare prices. Matthew Brunwasser, previously cited, provides an example of one trafficker who offered a half-price discount for young children and received 39 Facebook likes. In a September 11th, 2015 CNBC News article, Kate Coyer, Director of Civil Society and Technology Project of Central European University, indicated that although online tools may not bring an end to trafficking, they can reduce cost and dangers of trafficking. A second danger is crossing the high seas, often in substandard and overcrowded watercraft. In the World Post, October 14, 2015, International Research Committee press manager Paul Donahoe reports that the mobile phone has also become a fundamental tool in surviving the harrowing water crossing from Turkey to Greece, which has claimed almost 3,000 lives in 2015 alone, according to the UN Human Rights Council. In The Independent, September 3rd, 2015, reporter Lizzie Dearden related the story of a 20-year-old immigrant that she calls Ferris. Dearden kept the man's real name private. He described the experience of being on a boat that was heading to Greece when the engine died after 1/2 hour at sea. Quickly, the boat became full of water and started to sink. So I sent a WhatsApp message giving my GPS and asking them, the Greek Coast Guard, to help us. Me and my 3 friends from Syria jumped into the sea. We didn't have any life jackets, just 2 children rubber rings for the 4 of us. The water was very cold and the waves were very strong, but I never lost my faith or hope. I was picked up by the Coast Guard after 7 hours of swimming. I've managed to call my mother and tell her I had made it. So, you can see that a smartphone can literally make the difference between life and death. Today, I hope that you have learned more about how refugees are benefiting from the use of smartphones. We have seen that smartphones are a prized possession for many migrants, how they help immigrants with the logistics of their travel through Europe, and how they are a valued asset in times of danger. We'll end with the experience of Mohammed, a 27-year-old former DJ, as related on October 3rd, 2015, by reporter Malika Rao in the World Post. He was adrift with 50 migrants in the Mediterranean Sea after their overcrowded boat lost its engine. Mohammed had the foresight to wrap his iPhone in sheets of plastic, and despite the waves, he was able to get a signal. He used Maps.me to track the group's latitude and longitude and text the coordinates to his cousin Danya in Hawaii. Danya's family was able to contact the Coast Guard on the Greek island of Chios. They texted Mohammed. After the Greek Coast Guard transported Mohammed and his group of friends to Chios, he soon found a hairdryer and dried the ports on his phone and sent Danya a Facebook message explaining how they had survived.